This is going to be the reason why people do not like talking to you. So if you ever notice in a conversation with anybody, I mean, this could be with business, with family, relationships, friendships. If you ever notice that people are looking for an out of the conversation and they're eager to hang up, they're eager to exit the conversation, there's a few things that you're doing that is causing that within the conversation itself, right? And so I'm going to hit on a big one here, which is the ability to create openness in the conversation, right? And so what I mean by that is if you're not creating openness in the conversation and that person doesn't feel like they could be open with you, they're instantly going to become closed off, right? And it might feel like this thing where you're more so talking at the person than talking with the person or speaking with the person, right? And so a few things that can cause the other person to be more closed off as opposed to open is a sense of you being judgmental, right? So just imagine this. Imagine you're going to therapy and you heard like rumors about a therapist that was judgmental, or maybe you heard it yourself, right? Maybe you heard one of the conversations yourself and you're like, oh wow, this person's very judgmental. Or while you're actually in therapy, the therapist is, talking about a previous patient or whatever, which would be against some law probably. But the point still goes is that if they were talking bad about somebody else, you're like, well, you're not stupid. So you're going to pretty much take in that information and be like, oh, this person's very judgmental. So I can't tell them certain things, otherwise I will be judged for it, right? And so and I want to say this too, is if you are judgmental, you're just like everybody else, because everybody is judgmental, right? It's more so of how expressive people are when it comes down to being judgmental, right? Like it's hardwired into our brain to judge people. So some people are more expressive than others. Others are able to correct it and, let their conscience kick in and be like, well, hey, let's be open because we don't know this person's story. So let's not judge them for who they're showing themselves to be, right? It's kind of like a sense of maturity in a way. And the thing that you want to keep in mind as well is like, we are not judged based off of who we are. We're more so judged based off how we communicate ourselves to be. So somebody that, we see as judgmental, it's because they're communicating themselves to be judgmental. And even like with like, because communication is something that follows you everywhere you go, right? It follows you in business, it follows you in relationships. So even if you're having sales calls, right? Or deals, and you notice that the person is like, it's not opening up to you, it's taking a long time. It's more so because of your lack of being able to create openness there, right? So now the beautiful thing is that we could change this by simply asking questions, right? So the more curiosity that you have towards somebody, in genuine curiosity, like they could actually feel that how the intention is there, the genuineness of that is there, they will be willing to open up, right? Because I've even had sales calls where I had like a recent one, very type A personality. She was just unwilling to open up. She was also in sales. So she was just like, hey, like, I know what you're doing. Like, I know these questions. And what I did is I threw in there because I was actually genuinely curious. So this was true. But I said, hey, so, like out of my own selfish curiosity, like, how did you even get into that? What was the driving factor behind you, leaving your corporate job and get into this entrepreneur space? And I was genuinely curious about that. It also helped push the sale forward, right? And because the intention was there and she felt that, that was the point in the conversation where she opened up, right? Because I created that openness within that conversation. Now, had I not done that, probably wouldn't even have been a closed deal, right? And she wouldn't have gotten the help she needed. I wouldn't have gotten paid, okay? So this is how important it is, because I've even dealt with people and somebody that is like really into communication. Like I pay attention to people's communication styles and I can tell when, hey, like I notice that I'm not very open in this conversation. Like I'm kind of looking to leave the conversation. And I realize because it starts to feel like the other person is more so just talking at me, right? So nobody likes to engage unless you really view the other person. Now check this out. If you really view the other person as a superior or as an authority, then you will be okay with them talking at you, right? Because you've accepted the frame of this person is above me in like a societal hierarchy standpoint. And that's not to say that you're inferior, but like, let's just say you're in the presence of a coach. You're in the presence of a coach or you're in the presence of a mentorship and they're talking about a subject that is beneficial to you, that they have more expertise in. You have now accepted that person as the authority and as a superior in that conversation, right? So we all have them. Like, you're going to learn from somebody. Now, if you have accepted that frame and they are pretty much like talking at you, then you will be more perceptive. However, if it goes on too long with them, without them creating openness in you, it's going to fizzle out, because you can only go so long. So for example, I'll share this one as well, is even one of my coaches, right? He was giving me feedback on one of my call reviews. And right before he gave me feedback, he asked me a question. He goes, Anthony, how would you like your feedback? Would you like me to hold your hand, or do you want me to just, hit you in the throat? That created openness for my feedback, because if he was just like, all right, dude, you suck, this sucked, this sucked, this sucked, this sucked, I would have been, my ego would have kicked up, right? My ego would have kicked in, and I wouldn't have been receptive, and I wouldn't have learned. But because he asked me what my preference was, and I told him, dude, I'm here to learn, hit me in the throat. He was able to give me very constructive feedback, and it was beneficial, right? Because we now had a conversation. He gave me his feedback and I internalized it. So a big thing is, even if you have somebody in your life where you're like, man, this person's lost, right? Like, what are they doing? And you just call them, you're like, dude, and if you impose yourself on them, they're gonna reject it even more so, and they're just gonna go further down their own way. They're down their own way. And now the thing is too, is at the end of the day, people need to go down their own path, right? Like, at the end of the day, people need to go down their own path. It's so easy for us to see other people and be able to point out, what they do wrong. It's so easy for us to do that, right? It's easier for us to do that than look at ourselves in the mirror and be able to point out what we're doing wrong. But at the end of the day, people need to come to their own conclusion, right? Because in a sense, it's like you're trying to play God, if that's what you're doing. And last time I checked, none of us are. So it's not going to go well, and egos kick up, right? Egos kick in. And even if somebody doesn't have a big ego and has a very tiny ego, it's like if that person then buys into it, like, it's detrimental to them, because now they're building their self-image, they're building their personal identity based off of you. So this is neither healthy for them or for you, right? Because everybody needs their own identity that they have built and cultivated at the end of the day, right? Otherwise, resentment kicks in at some point down the line. Anyway, we went pretty deep there, but it goes back to the topic, is people do not like talking to people when the other person is talking at them, is closed off, right? Because it's just not a conversation. It's not a game, right? Think about playing catch, or think about playing ball. Like, would you play a basketball game if nobody ever passed you the ball? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, dude, and not even only pass you the ball, but you were just there just to be there. You have to be part of the game. We all want to be part of the game. So in a conversation, it's a game. It's like a dance, right? So if if you're not dancing with the other person, there's no dance happening, you're just out the door, right? So if you've realized that you've done this, let me know, like, an example of like a time that this happened in the comments, where either the other person, and this could happen on sales calls, like really easy. I mean, obviously, like, I'm in high ticket sales, and being somebody that has been the closer and also the prospect, you get to see both sides, right? And even like doing my own call reviews, I'm like, wow, yeah, I went off on a bit of a tangent here. I wasn't open. They shared a lot with me, and I didn't acknowledge, and I didn't hit this, I didn't hit that, and then you learn from that, right? And on the other hand, it's like, wow, I just told this guy my whole life story, and he's just talking about his product. He's just talking about what he has to sell, right? So super vital stuff. If anything came to mind for you guys, like a time this happened, a time where somebody did it to you or you did it to somebody, I would love to know. So share here. If also you have, any questions, let me know. But until the next one, peace.